The condolence flowers hit Janet Shaw before she even turned off the engine. Her front porch was piled high with wreaths and white lilies. She stepped out of the car, the keys still in her hand, and stood motionless, staring at the impossible sight.
This isn't right. Something is very wrong.
Her neighbor, Evelyn Harper, rushed over, a covered casserole trembling in her hands.
Janet, we thought. Rebecca called everyone. She said you'd had a stroke on Friday.
A stroke? I was in Maine, fishing. What did Rebecca do?
She held a memorial. A luncheon at the country club. Nearly 100 people came. They charged $40,000 to your estate.
Janet's face turned to stone. The flowers suddenly smelled like a threat.
Thank you, Evelyn. I'll handle this.
She walked inside, the door shutting out the afternoon sun, leaving the neighbor standing with her uneaten casserole. A memorial program lay on the hall table. Her photo, the words, "In loving memory of Janet Shaw."
They printed these, sent them out, all while I was standing in a river in Maine.
She opened her laptop and logged into the estate account. A $40,000 debit to the country club glared back.
$40,000. That's not a mistake. That's theft. Rebecca held a memorial and charged it to my estate. She thinks I'll just accept this.
She called the country club, her voice deceptively calm.
This is Janet Shaw. I need to speak with the events manager about the luncheon held in my name on Saturday.
The manager confirmed the booking, 90 guests, a premium menu, charged to the Shaw estate. Rebecca had signed the contract.
I'll be there in 30 minutes. Have the records ready.
She drove through the early dusk, the memorial program tucked into her coat pocket like an arrest warrant. Janet pushed through the heavy ballroom doors. Inside, tables sat draped in white, wilting flowers, the only remnants of her memorial. At the far catering counter, a woman with salt and pepper hair was stacking chafing dishes. She turned and froze.
Margaret? Margaret Chen. Is that really you?
Margaret's face crumpled. She had catered this nightmare, not knowing if Janet was alive.
Janet. Oh, thank God. I've been trying to call you since Saturday. Your daughter told everyone you'd passed.
She lied. I was in Maine, and you catered the luncheon?
I run a small catering business. Rebecca hired me for a private memorial. She had no idea we were friends.
What aren't you telling me? Your eyes are saying more than your mouth.
Margaret glanced around the empty room, then leaned in, her voice dropping to a whisper.
I didn't just cater it. I recorded everything because someone had to protect you. Come.
She led Janet behind the counter, into a cramped office lined with catering supplies. A leather guest book sat on the desk.
Janet, I am not just a caterer. I am your estate attorney. We were roommates at Wellesley 40 years ago.
Margaret? From Wellesley? How did I not recognize you?
Rebecca hired my catering business for a discreet vendor. She never checked my full name or credentials.
She pushed the guest book across the desk. Janet opened it, her fingers tracing the endless signatures.
My banker, my attorney from the firm, cousin Elaine. They all thought I was dead. They came to mourn me.
Some of them already filed inheritance claims. I've documented it all. I took this job because I knew something was wrong.
My own daughter. She didn't just lie. She tried to erase me and steal everything.
I've been waiting for you to come home. I have more than the guest book, but first, you need to see what she did at the bank.
The guest book lay open between them, a ledger of betrayal that Janet would never forget. Margaret pulled out her phone, her expression grim. She swiped to a video file.
This is from Saturday morning. Your daughter, at the bank, handing over a document she claimed was your death certificate.
Janet watched the screen, her breath catching as Rebecca's form appeared, confident and rehearsed.
That's my bank. She's requesting a wire transfer. My God.
For the entire operating account, $2.1 million.
The video showed Rebecca sliding a paper across the counter, her voice muffled but clear enough to hear the word estate.
I recognized the form. I had drafted your living will 3 years ago. I knew that signature wasn't yours.
You stopped it? The transfer didn't go through?
I called the bank manager from this office. The wire transfer is frozen. But she doesn't know yet. You are still in control.
Janet stared at the paused frame. Rebecca's face, unaware of being watched, already counting money that wasn't hers. Margaret turned the guestbook pages, pointing to names marked with small asterisks.
6 relatives have already contacted the bank to initiate inheritance claims. Rebecca told them the will would be public this week.
6 relatives, each one hoping I was dead. Did any of them even call the hospital to verify?
Janet reached for her phone, her jaw set. She dialed a number from memory.
Elaine. It's Janet. Yes, I am very much alive. Did Rebecca promise you the silver or the stocks?
She listened to the stammering voice on the other end. The silence that followed was confession enough.
Don't bother calling the bank again. There's no death certificate. Because I am still here. Spread the word.
She set the phone down, her hand trembling slightly. The asterisks in the guestbook suddenly felt like brands.
Rebecca didn't just plan a memorial. She orchestrated a mass inheritance grab. Months of groundwork, I'd guess.
She wanted me dead so badly. She convinced half the family. Now I have to prove I am alive and show them what that really costs.
She found the front door unlocked. Inside, Rebecca sat in the armchair, as if she'd never left.
Mom, I heard the strangest rumor. A neighbor said you'd been in an accident. I came right over.
An accident? Not a stroke? She's testing to see what I know. An accident? I was fishing in Maine. What rumor? No one told me anything.
Rebecca's smile faltered for a fraction of a second before she recovered.
Someone must have mixed you up with another woman. I was so worried. Are you sure you are feeling all right?
Perfectly fine. But I found a strange memorial program in the hall. Must have been delivered by mistake.
Rebecca's eyes flicked to the program on the table. Her voice came out too smooth.
A memorial program? How odd. I'll look into it. Probably a misdirected mail. Don't worry about it.
She'll look into it. By then, she'll be halfway to the bank, but I'll be 5 steps ahead.
The door clicked shut. Janet locked it, then dialed Margaret.
She was here, Saturday in my chair, asking about an accident. She's testing how much we know.
Then she doesn't suspect the video. Police alone might not be enough. She could claim a mistake.
So, we do nothing. She'll try again the moment she realizes the account is frozen.
We host a second memorial, same venue, same guests. You walk in alive, that's the trap.
A memorial for the living. It's exactly the revenge she never saw coming. It's poetic. I want her to see me standing there. When do we start?
Margaret's voice tightened with resolve. They had to move fast before Rebecca sensed the shift.
I'll book the club for Saturday. Same guest list. You are the host.
And the guest book stays. But this time, it's evidence.
The next morning, Janet went to the bank and unlocked her safe deposit box. Inside, she found more than she'd bargained for. Beneath her original estate papers lay a document she'd never seen, a power of attorney, signed with a shaky version of her name.
Rebecca forged this. She's been planning to control everything.
She rushed home, opened her laptop, and searched for her address. The screen lit up with a real estate listing.
She listed my house. My own daughter put it on the market while I was away.
The listing boasted new photos, her living room, her garden, all taken from inside. Rebecca had been there.
She took pictures of my life to sell it. This isn't just greed, it's demolition.
She grabbed her phone and walked outside, needing air. The call to Margaret was desperate.
Margaret. She's not just after the accounts. She has a fake power of attorney, and she's listed the house for sale. We have no time.
The sting was no longer a choice. It was a race to keep a roof over her head. Margaret arrived at Janet's door with a man in a plain gray suit. Detective Peters had thick files on elder fraud.
I installed a hidden camera after Rebecca's last visit. We have footage of her searching your filing cabinet.
She photographed your will and the deed. Combined with the forged certificate, it's a strong case for attempted fraud.
She broke into my home and put it for sale. There's no line she won't cross.
We'll have officers in plain clothes at the memorial. The moment she incriminates herself, we move.
Janet sat at her desk, and recorded a testimony on her phone. The camera's red light blinked steadily.
I am Janet Shaw, and I am alive. My daughter, Rebecca, faked my death to steal my estate. This is my evidence.
Perfect. We'll play it right after the memorial opening. Let everyone see you are not gone.
They'll come expecting a coffin. They'll leave knowing exactly who the real corpse is.
She saved the video file. The sting was set. All that remained was to watch the liar walk into her own trap. The invitations were printed on ivory cardstock. Second memorial of Janet Shaw. Same venue, same time.
90 guests will come expecting grief. I'll give them a revelation instead.
With Margaret, she drafted a new will. Every name marked in the guest book was struck from inheritance.
Sign this at the memorial, and Rebecca's name will be nothing but a cautionary tale.
She'll see her inheritance dissolve in front of everyone. That's worth more than money.
That night, a burner phone rattled on the nightstand. The screen glowed with a single message. The message read, "You should have stayed dead." Janet sat up in her recliner, the blanket slipping to the floor. The chill was deeper than night air.
Rebecca knows something, but she can't stop what's already in motion.
She set the phone aside and pulled the new will closer. Fear had a different name now. Resolve. The country club parking lot was nearly empty, the morning light pale against the white columns. Janet and Margaret walked in silence. Inside the ballroom, the tables were set identically to the first memorial. Only the large projection screen above the podium marked a difference.
The projector is aligned. Let's test the video. We only get one chance to play it.
She pressed a key, and Rebecca's image froze mid-gesture on the screen. The audio crackled. Then her voice filled the empty room, tinny but damning. Detective Peters appeared from a side door, 2 plainclothes officers behind him. He scanned the room like a chessboard.
My men will be seated among the guests. At your signal, we move. Rebecca won't leave this room free.
She'll try to run. She always runs.
She placed the guest book on the podium, the same leather-bound ledger of betrayal, now a weapon. Her hand rested on it a moment too long.
90 people believed I was gone. Today, they'll understand what it costs to profit from a lie.
Outside, the first car doors opened. The show was about to begin. The guests arrived in dark suits and black dresses, their murmurs carrying the same question. Why a second memorial? Janet stood at the door, a carved pillar of grief in a black silk dress. Her smile was a perfect, brittle mask.
Every grieving face here once thought I was a paycheck. Let them look.
A sleek black sedan pulled up. Rebecca emerged, sunglasses hiding her eyes, a grim-faced lawyer at her side. She paused at the door, scanning the crowd. When her eyes met Janet's, the nod between them was a blade sheathed in velvet.
A second memorial. Curious. I wonder what's really being honored today.
Inside, the ballroom hummed. Guests whispered, comparing programs, noting the identical setup to the first memorial. Rebecca chose a seat near the exit. Her gaze never settled, flicking from the podium to the side doors. The last guests took their seats. Margaret gave a small signal from the wings. The room quieted. Janet gathered her breath. The podium waited, and with it, the first truth this room had heard in days. Janet walked to the podium, her heels clicking in the stillness. The microphone waited like a loaded question.
We gather to honor loss, to remember love. I thank you for coming, for your grief.
Her voice was calm, almost tender. Then she stopped, and the silence grew teeth.
Why is she looking at me? Something is wrong.
But before we continue, there's something most of you don't know. I didn't die. I am not dead.
Gasps tore through the room. Chairs scraped. A man's curse cut the air. Rebecca's face went white. Her hand flew to the table's edge, knuckles bloodless.
The first memorial was a fraud, hosted by a daughter who forged a death certificate to loot my estate.
She turned to the projectionist and gave a single nod. The screen behind her flickered to life.
Watch closely. This is what greed looks like.
The screen bloomed with color. The first memorial, guests laughing over canapes, Rebecca raising a toast. Then the footage cut to the bank. Rebecca's voice, tinny but unmistakable. "I have the death certificate. Release the funds." A collective gasp sucked the air from the room. Chairs tipped backward. A woman shrieked. Rebecca clawed at her chair, heels scraping as she bolted upright. Her face was a mask of panic and fury.
This is doctored. She's lying. That's not me.
She spun toward the exit, but Detective Peters was already there, arms folded, his badge glinting.
Ma'am, sit down. The video is quite clear.
You can't stop me. This is a private event.
Peters didn't move. The other guests were on their feet now, a wall of shock and accusation, cornered. Rebecca's chest heaved. The video played on behind her, an unerasable witness. Janet lifted the leather guest book from the podium. The pages rustled like dry leaves in a tomb.
This book holds more than condolences. It's a registry of greed. Let me remind you who already tried to cash in. Elaine Morris requested the silver. Arthur Finch claimed the lake house. Margaret read the next entry.
A woman in the third row buried her face in her hands. A man at the back slouched as if struck. A heavy-set man bolted up, jabbing a finger at the podium. "This is slander. You can't prove a thing."
Your own entry is 2 pages back, Mr. Grant. Janet always promised me the vintage car. Sit down.
The man's legs buckled. He sank back, his protest drowned by the silence of his own guilt. Detective Peters moved behind Rebecca, the click of the handcuffs cutting through the murmurs.
You'll never make this stick, Mother. I'll be out before you finish that book.
Then enjoy the next chapter. I am signing a new will, and every name I read today is struck from it.
Detective Peters unfolded a warrant with practiced precision. His voice cut through the murmur like a gavel.
Rebecca Shaw, you are under arrest for fraud, forgery, and attempted grand theft. Anything you say can be used against you.
You've ruined everything. This entire family will pay for this, Mother.
Janet's expression remained glacial. She walked to the head table, where a leather portfolio waited.
Margaret, the new will. Let's finish this.
Witnessed and notarized. Just your signature.
The fountain pen was cool in Janet's hand. She pressed the nib to the paper, and the room fell silent.
Done. Margaret Chen and Detective Peters, you are my legal witnesses.
She set the pen down. The signed will lay open next to the ghost-filled guest book. Rebecca's eyes flickered with disbelief. "It won't hold," she spat, but her voice cracked as Peters led her away. Rebecca's screams echoed down the corridor as the officers pulled her through the service door. The ballroom shuddered into silence. Guests exchanged glances, their faces a mixture of shame and disbelief. No one moved to follow.
Thank you all for witnessing this difficult truth. The service is over. Please go home.
The room emptied in a slow, heavy shuffle, heels clicking on marble like a departing jury. Janet was still. Her fingers traced the edge of the guest book, now a ledger of both trust and treachery. Margaret approached from the wings, her steps soft. She placed a hand on Janet's shoulder. No words needed.
It's over, Janet. You are safe now.
Safe. But at what cost? I've lost a daughter, not just a criminal. I know, but I had to stand. I had to show them I wasn't a ghost.
They stayed like that, 2 old friends and a leather-bound book, as the last of the afternoon light faded through the tall windows. A week later, Janet's living room was quiet, the tea tray untouched. Margaret set her cup down with a sigh.
The prosecutor accepted her plea. 10 years, Janet. The house sale was voided this morning.
10 years. Enough time for me to forget, but not enough to forgive. I wanted justice, but I never wanted to raise a criminal. She chose this path long before I knew.
You did what no mother should have to do, but you saved yourself, and you saved your life's work.
Janet rose and lifted the guest book from the table. Its weight felt different now. Less accusation, more affirmation.
This book started as a lie, but today it's the truth. I'll keep it where I can see it every day.
She positioned it between a photograph of her late husband and a small ceramic bird her granddaughter had painted.
It belongs there, a reminder that you are still writing your own story.
Outside the window, a winter sun broke through the clouds. Janet poured herself fresh tea, the steam rising like a quiet amen. 1 year later, the scent of lavender hung in the warm air. Janet knelt in her garden, pruning shears in hand. The guest book rested on a small iron table beside her, its leather warmed by the sun.
Funny. A book once filled with condolences now holds only peace.
A child's voice rang out from the house. Grandma, lemonade. Janet pushed herself up, brushing soil from her knees. Her smile was no longer a mask. She picked up the guest book, holding it against her chest like a family album. She walked toward the house, its porch now empty of condolence flowers. Only a pot of geraniums by the door. She paused at the doorstep, glancing back at the garden where the lilies she'd planted had finally bloomed.
I am still here, and this time, no one can take that away.
She stepped inside, the screen door closing softly behind her. The house hummed with the sounds of a new, full life. 10 years later, a yellowed newspaper clipping hung on the fridge door. Its headline bold and final: "Fake funeral fraudster denied parole. Rebecca would serve every day of her sentence." Pinned beside it, a recent photo. Janet, 83, beaming in a silk blouse at a charity luncheon. The camera lingered on her face, composed yet softened by time. The pale blue eyes held no bitterness.
Justice wasn't just the sentence. It was waking up every morning still in my own home.
On the same fridge, a child's crayon drawing of a book labeled Grandma's Guest Book smiled next to the news. The guest book became a family legend, passed around at reunions not as a scar, but as a story of resilience. She still gave speeches at the local women's shelter, but never once mentioned the memorial. Her name was no longer a headline for fraud. It was a quiet testament to survival. She lived another 5 years after that, and not a single flower appeared on her porch until the one she deserved. Janet Shaw lived another 15 years, outlasting even the whispers that once haunted her. She never spoke to Rebecca again, not even when the parole board asked for her statement. But every spring, without fail, she opened that leather guest book, not to mourn, but to celebrate the day she gave herself a second life. The cover was worn smooth by her touch, a comfort she'd grown into. Inside, the names had faded, but the meaning never did. It now sat on a shelf in her study, beside a photo of her grandchildren. The camera pulls back, through the lace curtains, to the house's quiet exterior. There were never condolence flowers again, only peonies she planted herself. And on the shelf, the guest book remained, proof that she had not been erased, but reborn, and that the truest memorials are the ones we build for ourselves.